Yeah guys, it's Chris again here, CaribbeanPot.com. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm cooking up a batch of ham bone soup. Now if you don't have any leftover ham, say the holidays are just done, I have my ham bone there, and I thought I'd make a soup. I asked you guys on Facebook if you'd like the recipe for this. A lot of you said yes, so here we go. This is the video for making ham bone soup. Now if you don't have a ham bone, you can also use ham hocks or any sort of smoked bones that you can find at the grocery store. There's tons of them to choose from. Remember, above me here, you're going to see the subscribe button. Click on subscribe. You're going to get all the latest videos sent directly to you as soon as they get published. Below is where you're going to leave me your questions and comments, and do give the video the thumbs up. I appreciate it when you do that, guys. And here is a sneak peek at the soup simmering away. I just gave it a good stir. It's getting nice and thick now. It's got another maybe 45 minutes or so to go. But this is it here, guys. We're going to be making a soup with that leftover ham bone from the holidays. On the stove here, I went down to the basement, took out my massive soup making pot. This is a pot that, hey, just about every Saturday gets used. But here are the ingredients, guys, for making this soup. You will need that large pot there. It will be a big soup, so it's something you can freeze, the leftovers, but why not make a night out of it and have some friends over for some of this tasty soup. So here we go, guys, the ingredients. I've got here 3 potatoes. They're fairly big potatoes, 1 large carrot, an onion. We'll need about 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. I've got 3 cloves of garlic. I've got some fresh thyme. It's so aromatic. Maybe about 4 sprigs of fresh thyme. I've got here 1, it's from the freezer, I store them in the freezer, 1 habanero pepper, Scotch bonnet, whatever sort of hot spicy pepper you like will work good. I will use the entire thing because I won't be breaking it. I'll put in the entire thing into the soup, and later on, if I feel like having it spicy, I'll burst it. If you guys don't want to do that, there's no need to burst it to release all the heat. Here I have a butternut squash, and it's probably a couple pounds. If I had the sort of pumpkin we use down in the Caribbean, I'd much prefer to use that. But again, I'm in North America, so it's hard to source. So here I have that butternut squash, couple pounds. I'm going to peel and cube that up. And in the back here, I've got 2 cups of dried split peas, the yellow split peas. I've got 2 cups of those. We're going to need some salt, so maybe about a tablespoon of salt. Here I've got 1 can of coconut milk. It's probably about 1.5 cups of coconut milk. And the star of the show, the ham bone, as well as some pieces of ham that was left back. Now, I know growing up on the islands that traditionally there isn't any ham left back. We go through everything. So it's basically the bone alone, but different times, I guess. So that's about it, guys. We're going to need some water, and as we go along, if I forgot anything, I'm going to mention it to you guys. What I've gone ahead and done, I've peeled the squash and I've cubed it up into maybe 1-inch cubes. The potato over here, again, I peeled them, cut them into quarters. We're going to be cooking this for a very long time, so this is why I'm cutting up the butternut squash as well as the potato into huge pieces. Over here I have the carrots. Again, I give it a rough chop. The onion I gave a rough chop. The garlic I chopped it up here, as well as the thyme I'm just going to leave whole. At the end I'm just going to fish out the stalks out of the soup. Over here in the pot I have it on a high heat now, and I'm just going to add maybe about 2 tablespoons of olive oil just to coat the bottom of the pan. With the oil nice and hot now, all I'm doing is adding the garlic and the onions to the pot. Just want to brown those, allow it to soften up and release its flavors. At the same time, I'm going to add the black pepper as well to the pot, because I want to release all those flavors to build on, so we're going to have a nice fragrant base. With the onions nice and soft now, I'm just going to add It's been cooking on a low heat for about 3-4 minutes. I'm just going to add the fresh thyme into there, the butternut squash, potato, as well as the carrots, and give that a really good stir. Now that I've given it a good stir, up next I'm going to add the dried split peas. But what I did, guys, using a strainer, I ran cold water over this just to wash it off a bit. Just going to add that in there. And again, we're going to give it another stir. All I'm doing now is adding the salt. Give it another stir. Pour in the coconut milk, as well as the hot pepper. Next up, it's time to add the star of the show, the actual ham bone. And what I've also did was I went ahead and the leftover pieces of ham I had, I cubed it all up. So I'm just going to add that as well. Then something I forgot to mention to you guys, I've got a couple scallions here that I gave a rough chop. I'm going to add that into there as well. And now is the time to add all the liquid to this. So I've got here a couple cups of water. And you probably need anywhere from 8 to 10 cups of water. I'm just going to top all of this up with water, bring it up to a boil, and then we're going to reduce it to a gentle simmer and allow it to cook for about an hour and a half, anywhere between there. But we're going to be checking it and stirring it in between, so I'll keep you guys updated on this. Took a few minutes, but I've now brought it up to a boil. If you guys can notice, I do have the Scotch bonnet pepper, habanero pepper, sorry, floating on the top here. I did add it whole, like I said, just because I want to get the flavor from it and not the heat. If I want the heat, I'm going to burst it later on in the cooking process to release all those wonderful, vibrant heat. On the very top here, you're going to notice there's sort of a frothy sort of thing happening at the very top. What you want to do is spoon it out and pretty much dump it out. Now that this is boiling, I'm just going to continue spooning that out and getting rid of it. And what I'm going to do is turn this down all the way down to a very gentle simmer, because it's going to take a while for those dried split peas, the yellow split peas, to cook all the way through, because we want that melting away in here to thicken up this soup. So what I'm going to do, place the cover on it. Every couple minutes, not every couple minutes, maybe every 10-15 minutes, come and give it a stir and check to see if there's any more of that frothy stuff on the top. If you don't have a ham bone and you want to make this soup, all you need to do is buy one of those ham hocks or any sort of smoked bones that you can get in pretty much any grocery store, and use it to flavor this soup. So here we go, guys. We're going to cover this now and allow it to cook for about an hour to an hour and a half. I'm thinking I'm going to go all the way to an hour and a half. It's been cooking now for about 45 minutes. Thought I'd show you guys a quick peek at what it looks like. Obviously we still have that big bone in the middle, but notice how nice and thick all that broth is going now. This is going to get nice and lovely, nice and thick. The scent in here is amazing at this point. It's nice and spicy and smoky from that ham bone. Guys, one thing I forgot to mention to you guys, we're going to need about 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, as well as a pinch of sugar for making some dumplings for this soup. Now the dumplings is totally optional. It's something that you can certainly leave out, but being a nice Caribbean soup, a nice home style soup, I thought I'd add some dumplings to there. So I'm going to allow this to cook for another 45 minutes or so, but maybe about 10-15 minutes before it's all done, we're going to make the dumplings and add them to here so they can cook as well. The soup's been simmering away now for about an hour and 15 minutes. So it's about 15 minutes to go. The peas have already started to melt away. So everything is nice and tender in there. Let me just quickly give you guys a stir. Give the pot a stir so you can see the consistency of it. The potato, everything has started to break down and melt down. The carrots, everything is nice and lovely in there. So what we're going to do now, and this step is totally optional, guys. One thing I wanted to mention to you guys, taste it for salt at this point. I realized that I needed a little bit more salt, so I added this maybe about a quarter of a tablespoon more salt in there. But again, it all depends on how much salt you like. This step is totally optional, but what I have here is a cup, about a cup and a half of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to make a dough, a sort of a smooth sticky dough to make some flour dumplings. And what I'm going to do is I've got a cup and a half of all-purpose flour there. I'm going to add a pinch of sugar to it, give it a good mix with a fork, and then I'm going to start adding liquid to it, and then working with the fork until I could form a sort of a sticky dough. Add some more water. Now you may need a bit more water than I will need depending on the flour you're using. Now that will totally be up to you, so I can't comment on how much water exactly, how much to use in here, but you want a nice smooth dough. So I'm going to keep adding some water in here until I've got the texture that I'm looking for. Just so to clarify, I'm just using a fork at first to work this dough, just to make things a little bit easier and less messy for me. All I'm going to do now, and I've added quite a bit of water in there, I'm guessing maybe about 6 to 8 tablespoons of water. I'm just going to clean off the fork, and then using my hands, I'm just going to work that until I form a unique dough ball. I've formed a dough ball in the bowl here, so all I'm going to do now, and you can see it's a fairly big dough ball, I'm just going to pinch off pieces. So you can see I made it into a little dough ball, and using both hands I'm just going to roll until I form a sort of a cigarette or a mini cigar. Probably going to pinch this and make 2 out of it because I like them nice and thin. These are called spillers, and that's it, guys. That's one of the dumplings already made there. Just going to dump it into the pot and continue working until you've got the entire dough ball into dumplings. I'm guessing you're probably going to get maybe about 15 to 20 of these dough balls, these dumplings, from the dough that we just made. I'm just going to pinch it, so we got 2 of them here. And there we go, guys. I'm just going to keep adding, give it a good stir, and we're going to allow that to cook for the final 15 minutes. It's been cooking a total of an hour and a half now. The soup is done. I just can't wait to get my mouth this into my mouth. I'm telling you, I'm drooling here just stirring this pot. But as you can see, there's the flour dumplings that we made, pieces of ham. The broth or the gravy is nice and thick from those dried split peas that we cooked down. Guys, this soup is amazing. You won't believe the scent in the kitchen here right now. It's a little bit spicy because I bursted the pepper in there. Remember to check one more time for salt, because again, your tolerance for salt will be different than mine. Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, give me a thumbs up, leave me the comments below. And one more thing, if ham or pork and stuff like that is not your thing, get a beef bone, get a turkey bone. There's smoked turkey pieces you can buy at the grocery store. You really don't want to sacrifice such a good soup because you don't eat pork. Try something else in the soup, it will work just as great. Smoked turkey, smoked pork, smoked beef bones. But there it is, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Chris here. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. And remember, if you're looking for a printable version of this recipe, check out CaribbeanPot.com.